You know, every day ain't gonna be a good day. I mean, I think that's relative. Of course, when you say a good day, you mean like alive, healthy. Then yeah, absolutely, great day. But when you're talking about like having a good day in terms of, fulfillment, happiness, if that's, to say, all right, how I'm actually feeling, every day don't be, good from that perspective. You know what I'm saying? You have your days, man. We all have our days where, you know, you just kind of like blah. And that's okay because happiness is based on happenings. Certain things happen and they can really alter, determine or affect your happiness. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a happening. That's what I was told. That ain't mine, by the way. But that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. So depending on what's happening can determine how happy you are. So I understand that. That's why, I was told you don't chase happiness. But a lot of the messages that we get, people that we talk to all the time, they be like, "Oh, it's all about being happy." It's not true. You know what I mean? Not to me at least. Because again, happiness is based on happenings, and depending on what's happening, you may not be happy in the moment, and it's okay. That don't mean you throw everything away. You know what I'm saying? Because of the happening that's going on. Like you don't just destroy your entire life because you had a bad day yesterday. That's just not how it is. You know what I'm saying? But in some cases, to be fair, some days are worse than others, man. And you definitely be ready to throw the towel in. I know I have. I've had my days. We all have. But I digress. You know, every day just is not gonna be, like nah. It don't be like that. It's just like the weather. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, we having a bunch of rain. And some people look at rainy days like it's a bad thing, like, make you feel tired and down, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that's really because of the natural effect of what rain does. Water is a natural cleanser. You know what I mean? The way water, the element, it washes you out. It fills you. You know what I'm saying? Like you think about how the water fills the streets. You have to stop. You know what I mean? So something about water that's sacred that makes you just stop and reflect. You know what I mean? Because it's just natural. So rainy days make everybody kind of feel sluggish and slow down, you know. But that don't necessarily make it a bad thing, because again, that's relative. Good, bad, you know. But anyway, I know I said a lot, I always say a lot. I'm winded like that, but it's just how my mind works. So, the caveat in the game is to chase joy. Try to figure out, a routine of what makes you feel whole. And for me, it's serving people, man. You know, like I've said it before, I'm an empath. I like to be in a mix of people. When I'm serving people and it feel like I'm offering my best self, that's when I can reflect and see, the God in them. Then I also see the God in me when I'm around people. You know what I'm saying? And the internet, man, is just such a special place to be connected with millions and millions and millions of people, man. This platform alone is more than 3 billion people, actively using this platform on a monthly basis. You know what I'm saying? And that's nuts. That's almost, half of the entire world. That's right here. So more than enough people to connect with, you know, and that's where I feel my best self at. But if I'm not doing that, if I'm not, serving from that regard, I do feel a little down. I feel like, I'm not letting my light shine, you know. I feel a little distracted. So, but, the other day, man, just yesterday, I went through my phone. And if you're anything like me, I record a lot. I take a lot of pictures, a lot of videos. This is part of my hobby. I've been doing that since I was in high school. Just always recording some stuff and pictures. I just like it. But when I reflected, man, I just caught a little vibe and I was zoned out. I just went through a bunch of my pictures and stuff, and I just couldn't help but to look over my year. Just this last year alone, man. I mean, Jesus Christ. Thank you, God. Like I've had some drastic life-changing, events happen. So, man, I bought a new crib. You know what I'm saying? You know, me and my lady, we're progressing in our relationship, and we've reached another level where we're learning and growing. You know, I transitioned to a whole nother business. You know what I'm saying, in terms of a space. And I was in the space for a building for 10 years. So I had a whole kid. Like I got a 4-month-old. He'll be 4 months on the 12th. So you know what I mean. Like it's just a lot of changes that happen. And so those alone, that's a lot, just in itself. You know what I'm saying. I changed my business. I had a new kid. I got more family responsibilities. I'm in a fruitful, budding relationship. You know what I mean? And on top of all of that, bro, like I'm just trying not to fuck it up. You know what I'm saying? And then I don't want to approach it with the punk, kind of a attitude like, oh, don't be negative and think you're gonna jag, because if you think you're gonna jag, you're gonna jag. Like I'm not trying to go there, but my track record, you know what I'm saying, of relationships at least, I'll fuck them up. But I am in a different space. I have way more responsibility, so I'm not thinking from that level like I'm gonna jag. It's just more or less of me at all. I'm just kind of, at all and kind of at shock with everything that's going on. I'm like overwhelmed with the gratitude. I just cannot believe I'm having this, what do they call it? Like, it feels almost like survivor's remorse.